Are we waiting HR?
No, it will be me. So just whenever I can start. Are we all right?
We're good.
So I'm just going to give you a summary of where things are at and what we're going to do in the way of immediate and future action. So with that, just by way of a bit of background, as you know, last fall, the matter involving a female HSR employee and the rulings from an arbitration decision related to human rights was handed to the city. That lengthy decision raised a number of concerns for both council and myself in terms of the actions of our staff. That resulted in an in-camera meeting last fall, which was where I was given direction by council to look in the entire matter to see where the responsibility lies for the specifically the sexual harassment conviction, and to look at the role of management in that situation. So I've had a chance to engage some of my own staff in a review of all matters related to the decision, but also the matters related to the references that were given to Mr. Richardson while he was attempting to find employment with the city of Guelph. So I've had a chance to look at all that and consider what it is that the city of Hamilton needs to do moving forward. So with that, we'll be posting in the next few weeks for a director of HSR, as well as a management position within HSR. Those two postings will be going out at the same time. Having said that, though, I want to specifically speak to Mr. Don Hall. Don, as everyone knows, was at the last press conference that we had in the fall. Recognized the seriousness of the situation in HSR. Recognized that certainly he had regrets about what had transpired, and recognized that certainly he had some responsibility for what transpired ultimately as the head of HSR. Don, as you know, is the Director of Transportation for us, so Don carries not just the HSR responsibilities, ensuring that there's adequate operation by our many employees that work there, but also has oversight in significant planning matters for the city of Hamilton. Don, as you know, was instrumental in pulling together what we call Rapid Ready. He's in fact been working with the organization on matters related to mobility. Don, for those that know him, is a very well-respected transportation professional in the national context. He is a member of the Canadian Urban Transit Association. In fact, I believe he's on the board that's looking at matters related to mobility. So Don is more than just an HSR transit operator with many years of experience. He's, I think, a respected transportation planning professional. He's tried to carry both hats, which I think is a difficult challenge. As many people here know, the City of Hamilton, together with the Region of Peel, Halton, KW, and Niagara, are working together with the province, trying to resolve some major transportation issues in what we call the Western Golden Horseshoe, and they relate to both people movement and good movement. It's a file that I am on, and it's a very important file for the City of Hamilton, but also the other municipalities that I mentioned. So I will be asking Don to assist me with that file, as well as the carriage of some of the major transportation planning works that we have underway, not the least of which, as I mentioned, is Rapid Ready. I do believe that once the government is able to meet with us here in the province of Ontario, I expect we'll get into some specific discussions about Hamilton's needs and how it might move forward with those needs. So the responsibilities for the ongoing oversight of HSR operations will will in time not be his responsibility. And by that I mean he will be there until such time as we're able to find a suitable replacement for him. So that's some of the changes that we're going to be making here in the short run. But I want to say this, the matter of sexual harassment, for that, harassment really of any form, I've been, I think, fairly clear in my need to make sure that we have a culture within the City of Hamilton that, you know, engages and empowers employees and doesn't do the opposite. And that corporate culture, as we call it, is something that is rolling out across our organization. Certain parts of the organization are already there. They understand the importance of creating a work environment that is productive. I have other parts of the organization where there are certainly more challenges, and certainly HSR, I think, has factored you know, significantly into an area that needs some rethinking, some change. You know, I look at this situation from the simple standpoint that you know, the woman that were harassed, you know, if that were my daughter, if that were my spouse, you know, if that were a family member of any kind, how would I tolerate them being calling names and treated the way in which they're being treated? So the accountability, I think, goes beyond Richardson and does extend, I think, in terms of the higher management in that operation. So that I'm concerned about. In terms of the matter related to the City of Guelph, there is a policy governing what it is a city employee should do in a circumstance where a reference is being requested by someone that was let go. The concern I have is, you know, the adherence to that policy. I understand the concerns that the City of Guelph has with respect to what they relied on. So I've obviously had a chance to communicate those concerns with a number of people in our organization. And so, you know, there is a policy. We don't lack for a policy. It's a policy that is there to be used and enforced. I appreciate what the City of Guelph, their concern is regarding that matter. And so we are committed to making changes within HSR. I will add that, you know, we have hired 5 superintendents. They are, in fact, this week going through training that speaks to not just their technical requirements, but also what we're expecting of them in terms of managing people, i.e. the matter that is specific to our culture. So we are going to be bringing in our organizational development resources into HSR. I do want to respect what is, you know, transpired in that division, but I want to move the culture of that division forward. And I know the head of the union is here tonight, obviously interested in what I'm saying, and I want to work with the union and the management that is there and the new management that will be coming there to improve the situation dramatically. And that's why I think we need to make the changes that we're going to make.
Okay, so you're saying here that in this case you felt that the Director of Transportation was overextended. You also used the word accountability. This is a pretty disgusting and egregious case where you read that arbitrator's ruling and it makes me as a Hamiltonian ashamed to say I'm a Hamiltonian when our city does this. So who is responsible for this? Who in management is actually accountable for this?
I'd clearly lay it on the shoulders of you know, a number of people. I look at this. I look at the individual Richardson who was let go. He was certainly factored heavily into the case. He was the one that the arbitrator had significant concerns with. He is no longer in our organization. The fact is that it doesn't, I think, stop there. I think there are other parties, and I'm going to be somewhat careful in terms of naming individuals. I am, you know, expected to and understand the need to address matters related to privacy. But I don't believe it stops at Richardson for the reasons I think I've said. I think there are others in that in that division that have degrees of responsibility here, and I need to deal with that. You know, and so that's what we're going to be doing.
Okay, so
what's Don Hall's title going to be?
Right now, he is director of transportation planning, and he has carried that role, but that role is a broad role. It's not just strictly transportation, it's also HSR. So, I mean,
so he's not getting a new title?
What's that?
He's not getting a new title?
His responsibilities, his duties are going to be scoped to the things that that are going to be critical in terms of you know, discussions with the provincial government, certainly as it relates to Rapid Ready, which speaks to the whole matter of LRT and investments in conventional transit and an array of transit requirements. He's also going to be there, as I say, to assist me in terms of working with the province, specifically Ministry of Transportation, as well as Metrolinx, and as it relates to goods movement. He's going to be there to assist in the review of the Master Transportation Plan. He has been part and parcel responsible for dealing with matters related to mobility. These are all things that are critical to how we grow the City of Hamilton, and he has certainly demonstrated ability to bring, I think, very comprehensive plans.
Chris, he's retaining the title, though. Is that?
Yeah. Sorry?
He's retaining the title, though. Right.
Isn't giving him a different role acknowledging that he was responsible in some way? Like, why give him a different role? What is that saying?
It's not so much a different role as a matter, it's taking some of the responsibilities they had, you know, before today and limiting it to strictly the planning function. So that's what we're doing.
Chris, can I just ask, are there going to be any other disciplinary actions in connection with this investigation? You said you have, you know there are other managers involved. You said you have concerns, you're going to have to look into that. Do you expect any other disciplinary actions, and of what nature?
Well, as I say, I'll be going to the market on two positions. One is the director of HSR, and another is a management position within HSR.
Is that you're hiring lost the job? Has someone lost their job over this?
What's that?
Has someone
Those conversations are unfolding as a result of the discussion I just had about an hour ago.
The 5 new superintendents, the arbitrator wrote that she was concerned qualified female candidates were not applying for management in the HSR out of fear of losing union protection against sexual harassment. Yeah. That there was no female managers in this department in 2013. Out of these 5 new hires, are any female and are any internal?
The answer is yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is, you know, again, we're, you know, we recognize that significant changes need to be made. Again, I go back to this in a more personal fashion. I mean, aside from what we're saying is important from a cultural standpoint, I look at anyone showing up to work, you know, should never be treated in the manner in which this one woman has been treated, and for that, I need to make changes.
Why give Don a new job, though? Was he too busy to know this was going on? Like, why give him a different? I know it's the same job, but why give him different responsibilities? That's what I don't understand. Why?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, he is able to and has demonstrated in the plans that he has brought forward, and they've been widely really heralded by council in terms of the quality of the reports that he's brought forward. You know, he is certainly more than capable of delivering on the transportation plans that he has developed for us. He is, you know, he is demonstrated on a national scale an ability to not just grasp, you know, the complexities of mobility, but he's able to actually create plans and execute plans. So,
but you appreciate this looks like you're whitewashing his role in this. I mean, what's your response to that?
I think whitewashing would certainly be if we did nothing. I don't think it's insignificant to be basically the function of HSR, which has been his mainstay for many years. I mean, he's been with our organization for approaching 2 decades, and he's held that position for most of that period of time. you know, to be replaced in that role, I think is a significant decision. And if some wish to view that as whitewashing, you know, I appreciate that concern. At the same time, you know, I do believe there's accountabilities. There's certain degrees of accountabilities. I do believe that you know, Don has demonstrated you know, significant service to this organization, to this community over the time that he's been here. And you know, my view is that you know, he's played such a pivotal role in some of the most important planning documents that are guiding how we're going to build the city, that you know, he deserves you know, the credit to continue to.
Has he accepted this? Has he accepted the new position or the new role?
I have certainly had a conversation with him.
So he has accepted it.
And it'll be the same amount of money?
What's that? I'm not going to get into it.
So in Public Works, this is not the first time that we've dealt with this type of discipline. The frontline workers who were fired, 27, many of whom have been rehired, many who haven't been rehired said, we wanted a second chance. Their offense, you know, why is that one being treated differently than this one?
So just on your first comment, it's not accurate, Joey.
Okay, please correct me. If I'm wrong, I apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize. You know, some have those, I think 30 individuals that were let go were brought back, and that was, you know, based on an assessment of their matters or their case. There's still a significant number that are that is before the arbitration hearing. So I wouldn't suggest for a second that there still isn't a significant number of people that there is, you know, fairly serious discipline being, you know, exercised. So. So back to your point, though. What was your point?
Well, what's different about that? Because I'm trying to figure out how that's dealt with, how that's dealt with. Yeah. Because to me, it seems to be a bit of a difference here.
Yeah.
You know, those people were let go, and what's different about the disciplinary policies here?
Right.
In play?
Well, I think it's pretty clear in the arbitration report who was the one that was doing the direct harassment. And that person is no longer here. It's the others that were, you know, the immediate supervisor, if you will, or that, you know, there is obviously some concerns with. And then that doesn't necessarily stop there. It goes further to the top of the organization, which ultimately I think what we need to be clear on is that, you know, if you're a director within our organization and you're overseeing a service or a number of services, it's important that the people within your organization know that they can come to work in a safe place, that they're clear on what's expected of them, and they have the means by which to be successful. And so, you know, things are going to be dealt with where we're not satisfied that people are adhering to the culture that we want in this organization, and so there are going to be repercussions.
What would you say to the HSR workers who were quoted in today's Spectator, a good article by Matt, that showed that there's been some other cases, that they're speaking up even though they said, despite a bit of a fear of retaliation? It sounds like there's a real morale problem in there. What message do you give to them going to work tomorrow?
As I say, the changes have already started. As far as I'm concerned, there is no lack of work that needs to be done. We are going to put people in that division to reshape the thinking, the actions of everyone within that division. By that I mean, you know, I go back to the most basics, and that is, you know, you show up to a place of work, you should feel that you know, you're safe to be there, that you can you know, you can do your job. And not worry about being harassed in any kind of way. These are, I'll just finish.
Sorry.
You know, these are basic expectations, and so those that are doing the harassing directly, there needs to be measures taken against them, and those that are overseeing people and turning a blind eye to them, there needs to be accountability, and those further up the chain need to be aware of what's happening within their division and need to be active in dealing with them. So whether it's HSR or it's any other division, you know, I don't think it. I think the standard applies across the board.
Sorry, Sam, I just want to clarify one thing real quick. Just so,
Sure.
So did you say in answer to Andrew that there is more discipline forthcoming, even if you can't talk about what it is?
Yeah.
And the positions that, the new positions that you're hiring for, are they both new positions?
New
People in those positions.
But we didn't have a director of transit before, right? So that's a new.
Well, we had a director of HSR.
Okay.
For the longest period of time. And then we morphed that into something to include not just HSR, but
This would be an exclusive director for HSR.
Correct.
Okay. And the other position is not a new position? The other management position that you're hiring for?
Correct.
How many new staff positions have been created as a result, as a result of the arbitrators or adjudicators report last year?
How many new positions?
Have been created within HSR? You just mentioned two. You mentioned a director of transit. You mentioned the other management position.
Yeah, the supervisory positions, I think I could be wrong here, but I think we're replacing people, we're filling those vacancies. I could be corrected on that, but again, it's 5 positions. So, I mean, what we're bringing into the department will be some resources that exist in the organization, such as within HR, to lend a hand in you know, understanding where all the challenges are within the division and to put an action plan together to address them.
But you mentioned 2. You mentioned the director of transit and the new management.
And another manager position.
Can you just tell us quickly that other management position, what that title might be or what that person's role might be?
So I think it will become evident in probably the coming weeks because it will be posted. So I mean, we'll be talking to that individual tomorrow as to what our game plan is for that position. So I mean, without, you know, identifying the individual and getting into what amounts to personnel matters, all I'm telling you is that there will be changes made.
There would be another management position. It sounds like an internal candidate who's already in HSR will be filling that position. Is that?
Oh, you're way ahead of me.
I think. I mean, we'll probably have to talk offline, Sam, because I think you've got the whole thing confused.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Sorry, did you clarify this earlier? I know you've been talking to your counterpart in Guelph quite a bit, back and forth over your concerns, her concerns.
Yeah.
Do we face any legal repercussions from that disagreement? No legal claims, no lawsuits or anything of that nature that you're aware of?
Correct.
Is this investigation over, Chris? Is it book closed on it, or?
Yeah, I think that was what I was directed to go investigate and then make some decisions in terms of what, if any, changes need to be made. And clearly, I think changes need to be made. I believe that, you know, the accountability is within HSR for allowing this, you know, the behavior that affected this one woman to occur, and I respect what is being written in the paper today, and I, you know, won't be terribly surprised that there's other matters raised over time, and all of this is obviously serious, but where I'm at with Public Works, with HSR, with the people that work for HSR, is how do we fix it? And so, you know, it starts with making some changes, and it starts with hiring people that have more than just technical competence. Especially if you're overseeing people, you know, you have to have people skills, and you have to be able to understand what our expectations are, and then you're going to be, you know, held accountable for delivering on what we expect you to do. So we've revamped the way in which we, our performance accountability has been revamped. You know, we're much more, I think, clear with what it is we expect from people. And, you know, when people find themselves doing things that aren't accepted, you know, we're not going to wait years before we do anything. I don't want to wait for a human rights tribunal to be on top of, you know, behavior that is just not acceptable. I mean, it should never get to that. You know, we should know what's going on in our organizations and what the issues are before they become formalized in that way.
So within your own department, Human Resources, the arbitrator expressed concern about the thoroughness of the investigation that occurred internally before it went to arbitration. Did you look into that concern the arbitrator had? And what is the result of that part of your investigation?
Yeah, there's no question we looked at that. We looked at the carriage of that file and obviously had a good chance to discuss how it was managed and where the issues were that could have been handled, I think, differently. And so those conversations have taken place, and I'm satisfied that you know, we have an understanding as to what should never happen, and so you know, with that, you know, it's one of those things that I think, in light of what the arbitrator's decision said, you know, there have been some you know, changes in terms of the way people report things and the follow-up and everything.
What about yourself? When did you learn of this matter? And what did you do initially, and what would change in terms of how you're informed, how you react?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a concern, I think, that a number of us, council included, had in terms of just how well informed am I of matters that escalate to this point, and how early in the game am I going to be brought into, you know, understand what's going on, and if I can intervene and help, you know, remedy things. I mean, certainly knowing sooner rather than when you know, a lengthy report is written is obviously better. So you know, the clear message has been given to HSR. Not HSR, sorry, HR, that I need to know much sooner of the matters that are, you know, troubling like this. It shouldn't be late in the game. So I think that has been well communicated and well understood.
Are we actively looking for more female managers for the department, or not necessarily?
I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, you know, if you look at my management team, it's half female. I mean, I'm not seeking one particular gender over another. I'm looking for competent people of whatever, you know, gender and whatever nationality or whatever. I mean, I'm looking for people that have, you know, the technical and emotional skills to kind of lead. So I'm looking for that. You know, I'm not filling quotas here. I mean, at the end of the day, I am looking for people who get what we're trying to get across, and that is, you know, the days of those traditional organizations that are very much top-down, you know, very much, you know, paramilitary, very much the power brokers and all these kinds of terms that we use to describe what is nothing more than a top-down, you know, culture. It's not sustainable. You don't get the kind of service that you need for the money that's being invested, and you know, we need to change people's way of thinking in terms of you know, how they manage. It's you know, I don't think, you know, exerting that kind of influence that sometimes leaders have and effectively, you know, really messing up people's lives. You know, how that can be tolerated is, you know, without some actions, and, you know, I think in this case significant action being taken is, you know, is puzzling to me. So that's why we're making some changes.
In terms of, the city of course has the right to vigorously defend itself at arbitration, but in terms of that defense, specifically the matter with the emails and some of the accusations about character that were made against the victim in this case that further victimized them, are you reviewing the city's legal strategy in these types of situations in the future to avoid that type of situation? Because the arbitrator had very strong words for the city and how the city handled that part of the case.
So when you say legal strategies, what specifically?
Well, I mean the fact that the city decided to present that evidence at arbitration.
Oh, right.
You of course have the right to vigorously defend yourselves, yeah, but the arbitrator wrote that you went too far.
That's one of those judgment matters that it's a strategy I don't know how you can support, to be honest, to kind of, you know, what amounts to character assassination. I mean, it's, you know, I think when, you know, we kind of act in desperate ways, I mean, we kind of deserve the results that we get. You know, I think, you know, we're an organization that, you know, needs to be very principled, I think, in terms of how we approach things. I mean, you know, we have a right to defend ourselves, as you point out, and, you know, we've done that before. I mean, I can think of a certain road project where we took on the federal government, but we took them on a basis of principle. So, I mean, in those cases where it's, you know, win at any cost, you know, especially people's reputations and things like that, you know, you have to start to wonder, you know, do you want to be part of an organization that behaves that way? So, I have real concerns about that. Concerns about the advice that we were given and the advice that we took. I mean, I get advice every day, and I don't take all of it. I listen to all of it, but I don't necessarily act on all of it, because sometimes it just doesn't mesh with what is, you know, reasonable and sensible.
So maybe last question now.
Well, do you intend to speak to the victim? And oh, sorry, then yeah, no, I'll give somebody else that. Sorry.
Just on that, I have spoken with the victim on more than one occasion.
Why is the report being kept confidential? Is that your recommendation?
Because it deals with personnel matters.
And it can't be redacted? You can't take out the names?
It's pretty heavily about personnel matters.
So there's no elements of it. I mean, we don't have a sort of a formal position on this. I mean, you're opening to questions, of course. But,
right.
You know.
I mean, I think we're pretty consistent in dealing with personnel matters in a way that is, you know, respects the privacy. And I mean, we're probably, I mean, we're not taking the approach that we're not going to talk to the media. Absolutely we are. We know how important this is to the community. We know how important this is to the employees of this organization. I suspect, you know, this isn't isolated to just HSR in terms of, you know, what happened and what is being done. So I think it's important to sit here with you and answer your questions. So
I guess in fairness, because I don't think we have a full understanding of the thoroughness of that investigation without that report.
Fair enough.
You're content with that?
Well, I was given direction to report back. I was given direction in camera by council to report back to them. What I have undertaken is an investigation of the matter, and I specifically have pointed out to actions that need to be taken affecting employees for the city of Hamilton. So that's what that report is effectively dealing with, I think, and that's what I've done. Thanks.
I thought he said it was a little.
So I want to leave.
Right, and still is.
And still is correct right now as of
Right.
this moment. What I wanted to see moving forward is that there will be not only losers, but new directors and operations.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is a new person.
Right, Don will assume some special responsibilities, especially duties focused on our building.
Right. So the director of HSR is a new position.
Sure, if that's what you want.
And you mentioned the management
And there will
position.
also be other senior management changes within HSR.
So the management
And
position.
so one of them is a manager position.
Right,
Being
which
changed.
isn't
That is not a new
necessarily a
position.
new.
There will be a new person within that.
Okay, that's the part I didn't get. I thought the management position was new.
No.